Thank you for joining our webinar today. Let me introduce our speaker, Greg Roberts. He's an integrative nutrition health coach. He's also the author of Progress Over Perfection, 16 Steps to Reclaiming Your Health and Well-Being. He's the CEO founder of SimpleWisdom Wellbeing Solutions. He's appeared on NBC, CNN, and E! As a guest for various news shows. He co-founded the Blue Velvet Boxing Club, an award-winning exclusive boxing gym that catered to Wall Street executives. Greg has been an owner-operator of multiple businesses ranging from 20 to 200 employees. I'm going to turn it over to Greg now to share our service and platform.
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you everyone for tuning in and being a part of this presentation. And before we get into some of the benefits of the workplace wellness program we offer, it's really important that we understand some of the key facts and key root causes of where we're at with our healthcare crisis. And this is a brief snapshot of the chronic disease epidemic we have in this country right now. And you can see by this graph that about 157 million people in our country now have at least one chronic disease. That's projected to, of course, go up. And by 2025, you see 164 million are projected to have it. I'm not going to go through every stat on here, just some of the key ones. You can see that it's the most common and costly and preventable of all the health problems is chronic illness. It's responsible for 7 out of 10 deaths. One of the real alarming, to me at least, stats here is that 27% of our children in this country now have a chronic disease, more than doubled since 1994. So in less than 24 years, the chronic disease rate for our children have more than doubled. By the way, we're very particular about our sources. This comes straight from the CDC. These are not our opinions. These come from Centers of Disease Control. So you can see here what's happened with the rates over the last since 1999. They've gone from basically a little over $5,000 to now we're up to $20,000 a year in family premiums. Now it's the second or the third highest expense for most companies, becoming a real pain point for those of us running companies. It's not just the premiums that are up, deductibles are way up as well. You can see since 2008 the deductibles have more than doubled, and we're not even talking about co-pays and all the other stuff that goes along with the pharma costs. So costs everywhere, as we know, have gone up, and it just illuminates how much they've gone up and why this is such a problem these days. So again, from our friends at the Centers for Disease Control, this is the consequences for the employers because of this runaway chronic disease epidemic. And one thing we see here is that 4 out of the 10 most costly health conditions for U.S. employers are related to heart disease and stroke, two of the most preventable of the chronic illnesses. One important note on here, I think, to point out is that productivity losses they calculated from missed work cost employers $225 billion a year. It's almost $1,700 per employee every single year. Another real important factoid here, fact is that a 1% annual reduction in the level of just 4 health risks, weight, blood pressure, glucose, or cholesterol, can save an employer $83 to $103 annually per employee. So that's pretty significant. Imagine if you take that to 3, 5, 7% reduction, just one of those health risks. What's the consequence for employees? Well, as we all know as employers, we have to pass on more of the premium costs to our employees. So now they're burdened with unmanageable medical costs. They have more stress, less productivity, some negative ripple effects that the employees are feeling. So I'd like to pause on and kind of pivot here on a more positive point. This is really important for us because this is kind of the core of why wellness works. And understanding this fact is really important. And this comes from the True Health Initiative, which is a growing coalition of more than 400 medical and health professionals founded by a well-known and well-respected doctor by the name of David Katz. And his famous quote that these 400 health and medical professionals from around the world back up is that, do we truly know how to prevent 80% of all chronic disease? As he says here, irrefutably, unquestionably, incontrovertibly, yes. So it's really important that we understand now that 80% of all chronic disease is preventable, that we don't need to be there's so much of this we can prevent, and we have more power and control over our health than we may have understood. And this doesn't mean that there's obviously that 20% is really important. I don't want anyone to think that if they're suffering from cancer or a loved one is, that there are these areas, that 20%, that are still more mercurial and harder to understand the causes. We just don't know. So it doesn't apply across the board, but the great news is that over 80% is preventable. So how can we apply this understanding to the workplace? Well, through an effective workplace wellness program, and one that goes beyond just food and fitness, that really gets to understand people on a one-to-one basis to help move the health needle. It's a real important, just kind of snapshot on, and many may already understand this, but we found more people don't really make this connection. So between the two types of plans that are out there, the two basic umbrella types of health insurance, you have a fully insured plan where you can see the sickness. An increase in sickness means there's going to be an increase in claims, which is tied to an increase in the rates, because the rates are determined by claims. So the idea is to reduce the sickness, and claims and rates would come down. Self-insured plan, it's even simpler. It's just rates go up, and the cost and the stop loss rates to the employer go up, because self-insured plan, obviously the employer is paying that out themselves. So the goal with an effective wellness workplace program is to, with the self-insured group plan, less sickness equals less medical costs and lower stop loss rates. So very simple. The healthier people are, less sickness, the less the company has to pay out. According to Richard Branson, clients do not come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of the clients. We believe that is important. We try to practice that at Simple Wisdom as well. So the question is, where's my ROI for wellness programs? Why do most companies engage with a wellness program? Most, we can see here, to improve the health of the employees. The second is to control healthcare costs. Over 64% for mid-sized companies have wellness programs to control their healthcare costs. This is from a study from the RAND Corporation published in Forbes, that every $1 invested in overall wellness efforts yields a return of investment of $1.50. We think this is a low estimation. We've seen studies as high as $4 and $6 for every dollar invested. There's also ROIs in different areas. There's the cultural benefits. There's employee retention. There's other areas that aren't as easily measured that are can be a result of having a good wellness program. So what is Workplace Wellness 2.0, and why does it work? Well, we believe very much in the individualized approach, where some of the traditional corporate wellness programs of the past were very group-oriented and check the box approach. We believe that it needs to be executed in a one-to-one manner, because everyone's different, and no one wants to be, 1,000 people don't want to be told to do the same thing typically. We focus on sustainable. We really believe slow and steady wins the race. We don't believe in crash and fad diets, and we're not into just temporary success. We want sustainable success. We also have a state-of-the-art tech platform to help deliver this that we'll get into in a little bit. Our team is comprised of top health coaches, medical doctors, nutritionists, and registered dietitians for some of the more chronic conditions, for people with later stage chronic illness. We have highest caliber fitness trainers, carefully vetted, and we have highly trained and licensed clinical psychologists to help offer services where needed, depending on individual needs within a company. And I'm about to turn it over to Kendall, our tech platform guy. And a little bit about our platform. It's a national award-winning platform. It won the prestigious C. Everett Koop Award as the nation's most effective wellness solution. As you can see there, it's an application and allows us to engage on a HIPAA-compliant fashion, one-to-one, where everyone has their own, each employee has their own unique user profile and login, and it helps drive engagement. And I'm going to turn it over to Kendall here, and he will take us through a demo. Thanks, Kendall.